Have you ever noticed a moment in the sports news cycle where it feels like the universe just got kind of lazy with its writing?
Oh, like a glitch in the matrix sort of thing.
Exactly. Like if you've been paying attention to the sports wires this week, you might have seen this headline flash across your screen that simply read, Tyler Alexander is heading to Texas.
Right.
And on the surface, that happens all the time. Athletes move. But if you look closer, we are actually looking at two completely different athletes.
Two very different guys.
Yeah. They play two entirely different sports. They exist at like completely different stages of their lives. And yet they share the exact same name and are making these massive career moves to Texas franchises at the exact same time.
It is an incredible coincidence. I mean, what are the odds, right?
Seriously.
But the thing is, if we peel back the layers on that coincidence,
Hmm.
we actually find this perfect lens to examine two wildly different philosophies for building a competitive championship caliber sports roster.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah, we really get to look at the anatomy of how modern teams are constructed from the ground up.
And that is exactly the mission for today's deep dive. We're going to unpack these two specific acquisitions. So in one corner, we have the Texas Longhorns college football program,
Right.
landing a highly coveted, just absolute mountain of a teenager, a 2027 defensive tackle.
A literal giant.
Yes. And in the other corner, we have the Texas Rangers baseball organization signing a 31-year-old veteran left-handed pitcher who has, frankly, been through the absolute ringer of professional sports.
And looking at these two moves back to back, it offers us this fascinating masterclass in risk and reward.
How so?
Well, on the collegiate side, you see this high-stakes, almost desperate arms race for raw, unformed teenage potential. Like, you're betting millions in resources on what a human body might eventually become.
Right. Well, they could be in 3 years.
Exactly. And then on the professional baseball side, you see these calculating, highly economical wagers placed on adaptable veterans, guys who have already proven they can survive just a grueling marathon of a season.
It really boils down to a strategy of, like, acquiring pure potential versus acquiring proven survival skills.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the potential. We'll look at the newest development on the collegiate side first. This is the June 23, 2026 commitment of Tyler Alexander to head coach Steve Sarkisian's Texas Longhorns.
A huge pickup for them.
Massive. We are talking about a 17-year-old high school kid out of Palm Beach Central in Wellington, Florida, and he already stands 6'4" and weighs 315 pounds.
At 17, which is just terrifying.
It's absurd. And in his 2025 junior season, playing against incredibly tough Florida high school competition, the kid racked up 46 total tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 21 quarterback hurries, and 2.5 sacks.
I mean, those numbers represent just massive production from the interior of the defensive line, and it's entirely based on his massive physical footprint.
Yeah, you can't teach that size.
You really can't. One of the scouts in our sources noted this teenager already has an 80-plus inch wingspan. Yeah, and surprisingly quick hands for someone carrying 315 pounds. And, in the trenches of football, wingspan is leverage.
Right, keeping the blockers off your body.
Exactly. It dictates who gets their hands on the opponent's chest plate first. And whoever does that basically determines who controls the line of scrimmage.
Well, securing that kind of leverage was an absolute war for the Longhorns. Like, this was a high-drama, heavyweight recruiting battle.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone wanted him.
Tyler took official visits all over the country. He went to Notre Dame, he went to Colorado, and the reports indicate Colorado is offering massive NIL money.
Which is standard for them these days.
Yeah. And for anyone listening who might not follow the business of college sports closely, NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. It essentially allows college programs through their boosters to legally pay players.
It creates a literal free agent bidding war for high schoolers.
Yeah, an actual open market. So he visited Colorado. He also visited Georgia. And for a long time, the Florida Gators were the presumed favorites, to keep him in his home state.
Sure. And what's fascinating here is that in the modern era of college sports, the prevailing assumption is always that the biggest bag of NIL cash just automatically wins the recruit.
Right, highest bidder takes all.
But according to the sources, and Tyler's own words actually, the final decision hinged heavily on culture and relationships.
Really? Not just the money?
Not just the money. He specifically cited the locker room brotherhood, saying the existing players made him feel like family immediately when he arrived in Austin.
That's huge for a kid moving halfway across the country.
It is. And he bought completely into Steve Sarkisian's all-gas, no-brakes mentality.
Yeah, and a huge part of closing that deal apparently was his bond with the Texas defensive line coach, Kenny Baker.
Right, Kenny Baker. Tyler noted that Coach Baker had this deeply genuine passion for the defensive scheme. And crucially, he laid out a very clear multi-year development plan for him.
Like a roadmap for his career.
Exactly. Tyler also mentioned that Austin surprisingly felt like a second home to him, very reminiscent of Florida.
That's interesting. I wouldn't naturally compare Austin to Wellington, Florida, but hey, if the vibe fits.
If it works, it works. And for a competitor of his size, he explicitly stated he wants a run at the Natty. Like, he genuinely believes Texas is positioned to win national championships over the next several years.
Well, if you want to understand the psychology of college football fandom, look at how the Texas fans reacted to this kid's commitment.
Oh, I can only imagine.
It's wild. I was browsing the Our Longhorn Nation Reddit thread, and it is just a highly concentrated dose of absolute fandom.
They get pretty intense on there.
That's an understatement. One user posted a meme joking about sitting at home drinking, quote, brain fluid while waiting for a recruit to drop.
Brain fluid.
Yeah. And another user just ominously typed out blood for the blood god, referring to the coaching staff.
Wow. Okay, then.
Right. But it perfectly illustrates how incredibly desperate SEC fan bases are for trench warfare recruits. Like, they treat massive high school defensive linemen like actual gold bullion.
Well, in the Southeastern Conference, they practically are gold bullion. I mean, the SEC is a conference entirely won and lost on the line of scrimmage.
But see, to a casual observer, the fan base's level of excitement might actually seem out of proportion.
How so?
Because we're talking about a teenager whose recruiting star rankings literally vary depending on which evaluation website you look at.
Oh, right, the conflicting star ratings.
Yeah, like 24/7 Sports has him as a 3-star recruit, but Rivals and On3 have him rated as a 4-star. So if you're listening and wondering why a fan base treats a variable 3- or 4-star teenager like they just signed an NFL Pro Bowler,
You really have to look at the realities of roster building in that conference.
exactly. I kind of look at recruiting elite SEC defensive linemen like planting a forest of oak trees.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Because you can't just run to the hardware store, or in the college football world, the transfer portal, and buy a bunch of fully grown 300-pound oak trees when you suddenly realize your defense needs shade.
That's a great way to put it. The transfer portal is simply too expensive for that position. And frankly, the truly elite, game-changing defensive tackles, they rarely hit the open market.
Right. If you have one, you don't let him leave.
Exactly. If a program develops one, they pay whatever NIL money it takes to keep them on their roster. So a team has to plant the seeds early, get them on campus, and develop them in-house over years.
It's a long game.
It is. And this aligns perfectly with Steve Sarkisian's stated philosophy. He talks constantly about building the armor of the team.
The armor. I love that term.
Yeah, because in the grueling SEC schedule, you cannot survive with just 4 good defensive linemen. You need a deep stockpile.
You need depth.
You need waves of 300-plus pound bodies that you can rotate in and out just to keep This wants 3 to 4 interior defensive linemen in this 2027 recruiting class alone.
Which is wild. And they already have Kasi Curry committed, right?
Right. They have Kasi Curry. They are heavily eyeing Jason Johnson. And now they've secured Tyler Alexander.
And the developmental ceiling on this kid is what makes the investment make so much sense. Going back to those scouting details you mentioned earlier, the analysts in our sources brought up a really fascinating nuance about Florida high school football versus, like, Texas or Georgia.
Oh, the turf difference. This is fascinating.
Yeah. Florida high schoolers usually play their games on natural grass, which is very different from the pristine, incredibly fast artificial turf systems you see in the mega stadiums of Texas high school football.
Right. The environment completely changes the play style.
Exactly. Because of that grass environment and the way the local development systems are structured down there, Florida players often come out incredibly raw physically. Like, they rely on sheer power in the mud rather than, you know, refined technique on a fast track.
Right. They haven't been living in a highly structured college-level strength and conditioning program since they were 14 years old.
Which means, and this is the crazy part, what you are seeing at 6'4" and 315 pounds is just his absolute baseline.
It's just the starting point.
Yeah. Tyler Alexander is going to be a midterm graduate, meaning he will get to the Texas campus early.
And the professional scouts do not expect him to be an immediate day one starter against grown men. That's not the point.
Right.
The expectation is that once he gets into a multi-million-dollar college weight room and gets on a highly monitored college nutrition plan, his body is going to physically blow up.
In a good way.
In a great way. They project him to add good weight and become a rock-solid 330-pound anchor in the middle of that line.
Yeah.
He has the skeletal frame to carry that extra mass easily.
So it's the ultimate long-term investment. They are acquiring the massive frame now, fully knowing they have 2 or 3 years to sculpt it before they really need him to dominate the trenches against a team like Georgia or Alabama.
But, you don't always have 3 years to water an oak tree.
That's very true.
Sometimes you need someone who can step in and chop wood today.
Which brings us perfectly to the other Tyler Alexander.
Let's switch gears.
Yeah, we are moving from the high school football gridiron to the Major League Baseball diamond. So this Tyler Alexander is a 31-year-old left-handed pitcher who has already been through the professional ringer, and he just signed a Major League contract with the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Now, Tyler was born in 1994. He went to South Lake Carroll High School, which is literally just down the road from the Rangers Stadium in Arlington.
Oh, nice.
And he played college ball locally at TCU, so this is very much a homecoming for him.
A nice local story.
It is, but his professional career has been an absolute grind. I mean, just since 2023, he has bounced around 5 different major league teams.
5 teams in a few years. That's tough.
Yeah, he was with the Tigers, the Rays, the Brewers, the White Sox, and now the Rangers.
He is the quintessential journeyman.
He really is. And here's where it gets really interesting, because if you look at his 2025 stats, they do not scream, championship missing piece.
No, they certainly do not.
He had a 5.14 win-loss record, recorded a single save, and posted a 4.98 ERA over 52 appearances. Yeah. And for context, for those listening, ERA stands for earned run average. Giving up basically 5 runs every 9 innings you pitch is generally considered a significant liability for a team trying to make a deep playoff run.
It's not what you want on the back of the baseball card.
So I have to push back on the Rangers front office here. Why in the world is an organization that is clearly looking to compete for World Series championships signing a 31-year-old journeyman with numbers like that?
That's a fair question.
Like, why risk dropping a crucial midsummer game just to save a billionaire owner a few $1 million? Why not just go out and buy a definitively better pitcher?
This raises a really important question about how baseball actually works. It comes down to the brutal mathematical reality of a 162-game Major League season.
Okay.
Front offices simply do not evaluate pitchers over that kind of marathon, based purely on top-line flashy stats like ERA or win-loss records.
Really? Because that's what all the fans look at.
Sure, but when a manager is trying to keep a pitching staff's arms literally attached to their bodies through the dog days of July and August,
Right.
value is heavily dictated by availability and sheer volume. Tyler Alexander had 19 relief appearances of 2 or more innings in 2025.
19.
19. That was the second most of any pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. Furthermore, he covered 1 1/3 innings or more 25 times as a reliever last year.
Okay, I see. I kind of picture a pitcher like this acting as the crumple zone in a car.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Like, when the starting pitcher completely implodes and gets chased off the mound in the 3rd inning, you don't want to use your elite high-leverage relievers to finish a game you are probably going to lose anyway.
Exactly. You don't burn your best arms in a blowout.
Right. So Alexander is the guy who comes in, takes the damage for 3 or 4 innings, and keeps the expensive parts of your bullpen safe and rested for tomorrow.
He absorbs the impact so the rest of the team can keep driving.
Yeah.
But, and this is important, he's not just a warm body lobbing the ball over the plate to get the game over with. He actually has a documented history of showing these incredible high-ceiling flashes.
Wait, really? The guy with the 5.00 ERA?
Yes. People forget this, but he currently holds the Major League record for a relief pitcher with 9 consecutive strikeouts.
Oh, way.
Yeah, he set that back in 2020. And just last year, in 2024, when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays, he took a perfect game into the 8th inning.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious. He pitched 7 1/3 perfect innings against the Toronto Blue Jays.
A guy who lost 14 games the very next year threw a near-perfect game. Baseball is so weird.
It really is. But it proves that the underlying mechanical stuff is there, He possesses the actual ability to get Major League hitters out. But his primary job for the Rangers will not be hunting for perfect games. It will be taking the ball every few days and giving them bulk innings.
So let's look at how a workhorse like Alexander fits into the Rangers' overarching roster strategy, because the front office actually announced his signing on the exact same day they signed an elite defensive pitch-blocking catcher named Danny Jansen.
And pairing Alexander with Jansen is a highly calculated move. Well, Jansen is statistically one of the best catchers in the league at stealing strikes for his pitchers and blocking balls in the dirt.
Okay, stealing strikes. Explain that for the listeners.
Sure. He recorded the most catching blocks above average in the league since the start of 2024. And for those wondering how a catcher steals a strike, it is the physical art of pitch framing.
Right, pulling it into the zone.
Exactly. When a pitcher throws a ball right on the edge of the strike zone, a skilled catcher catches it and subtly manipulates his glove back toward the center of the zone before the umpire can fully process the location.
It's basically a magic trick.
It is, and that physical manipulation makes marginal pitchers instantly more effective because they suddenly get favorable calls on borderline pitches.
Okay, so when you combine that elite catching with the specific financial structure of Alexander's deal, the Rangers' strategy becomes crystal clear.
Let's talk about the money, yeah.
So Alexander signed a one-year major league contract. His base salary is $1.125 million. But the contract includes performance bonuses and incentives that could exactly double his pay.
Right.
So if he triggers all his markers, he makes an additional $1.125 million.
And that financial structure tells you everything about how baseball front offices mitigate risk today. The Rangers are reportedly pairing Alexander with a right-hander named Cole Winn.
Okay.
Together, they form a 1-2 long relief punch. This protects the bullpen from overuse. Like if your starter struggles, the manager just hands the ball to Alexander or Winn to eat those middle innings.
Takes the pressure off everyone else.
Exactly. It also severely reduces the manager's reliance on specific lefty versus righty matchups early in the game because these long relievers are tasked with facing the entire opposing lineup anyway.
So what does this all mean? If we dig into the mechanisms of major league contracts, this is essentially a brilliantly constructed zero-risk wager by the Rangers.
Zero risk.
Yeah. In baseball, unlike some other sports, teams can utilize a mechanism called designating for assignment, or DFA.
Right.
If Alexander pitches poorly and is a complete liability, the Rangers can DFA him, cut him from the major league roster, and he costs them almost nothing in terms of dead money on the payroll. Like, barely over $1 million is a rounding error for a team with championship aspirations.
But if he pitches well and hits the inning thresholds to trigger that extra $1.125 million in incentives, the Rangers front office will happily write that check.
Oh, absolutely.
Because triggering those incentives means he threw a massive volume of quality innings, he ate up the middle of games, and he preserved the health of their late inning relievers for the playoffs.
Which is invaluable, and his entire career is kind of a testament to survival and adaptability. If you're listening and wondering how a guy survives with a 5.00 ERA to keep getting major league contracts at 31 years old,
Right.
you have to look at what he did in 2021. He realized that his primary pitch, a 90 to 91 mile per hour two-seam sinker, was getting absolutely crushed by major league hitters.
Oh, yeah. Opponents were batting .360 against it.
A .360 average.
A .360 average against your primary pitch is a career ender.
For sure.
Because a sinker relies on dropping vertically into the swing path. Hitters had figured out how to track it perfectly.
They just had his number.
They did. And most pitchers in that situation stubbornly keep throwing the pitch that got them to the majors until they wash out of the league completely.
But Alexander didn't.
Alexander did not. He completely reinvented his mechanics in the middle of his career. He altered his grip and his arm action to turn that sinker into an 87-mile-per-hour cutter.
Which is wild because the physics of a cutter make it entirely different to hit.
Completely different.
While a sinker drops, a cutter moves horizontally at the very last millisecond. It looks exactly like a standard fastball until the moment the hitter swings, and then it slides just a few inches, making the batter hit it with the weak part of the bat rather than the barrel.
And the data proves the reinvention worked.
Yep.
Opponents only hit .222 against his new cutter.
Wow. From .360 down to .222.
Yeah, that ability to look at yourself in the mirror, realize you are failing at the highest level, and completely adapt your physical mechanics is an incredibly rare, highly sought-after trait in a veteran player.
It really is, and I think it perfectly ties this deep dive together. Today, we've looked at two different athletes who share the exact same name, both making moves to the exact same state.
Yep.
yet they represent entirely different ends of the sports strategy spectrum.
Absolutely. On one side of the state, you have the Texas Longhorns making a massive long-term, high-stakes investment in a 17-year-old's raw physical potential.
Planting the oak tree.
Planting that oak tree today, hoping to cultivate it to build an impenetrable defensive fortress for the SEC over the next 3 to 4 years.
And on the other side, you have the Texas Rangers making a cheap, highly calculated, incentive-driven bet on a 31-year-old veteran.
Right.
They aren't paying for unformed potential. They're paying for his proven adaptability. They're paying for a crumple zone to survive the grueling, exhausting marathon that is an MLB season.
And it leaves us with an incredibly practical thought for anyone out there listening.
Yeah.
Think about your own life or the teams you are a part of. When you look at the team you are building, whether that is in a corporate boardroom, a tech startup, or even just organizing a volunteer community project, you have to honestly ask yourself what phase you are in.
Right.
Are you currently in a foundational phase where you need to invest heavy resources to stockpile raw, high-ceiling potential for the future? Or is your foundation set and you just need to make a low-cost bet on a gritty veteran who knows how to adapt to failure and eat the innings today?
It's a question every successful organization eventually has to answer. Sometimes you just need an uncanny coincidence in the sports wires to make you step back and look at how the whole machine is actually built.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. They've been talking all year like the crown ain't ours, running the mouths in the cheap seats and bars, saying we're finished, saying we're through. Same old story, same old fools that keep throwing dirt, but the roots run deep. They keep losing sleep, but we don't lose sleep, cause the bigger they talk, the harder they fall, and we've been hearing that shit since we learned to crawl. Come and take it if you think you can. Come